chosen one. You feel it. Even now, something has paused around you. Time slows. Distractions fall away. And the atmosphere tightens as if heaven itself gently places a hand on your shoulder and whispers, "Pay attention, because you are not here by accident. You are here because a messenger angel has stepped into your path, and you can sense the shift before you even understand it. You feel the weight, the holiness, the electricity in the air. You know this is not ordinary. You know this is not coincidence. You know this is divine intervention marking your spirit and calling your name. You, the one who has carried burdens in silence. You, the one who has pressed forward even when your heart begged to collapse. You, the one who kept choosing faith when it felt like no one saw, no one understood, no one cared. Heaven has seen every step, and now heaven responds. The angel God sent does not come with thunder, but with a stillness that breaks through your chaos. The messenger comes because your quiet faithfulness has reached a tipping point. There were nights you whispered prayers with trembling hands. There were mornings you rose, even when your soul felt bruised. There were choices you made that no one applauded, but heaven recorded them one by one. And now, a reward begins with revelation. The revelation that you were never unseen. You didn't realize it. But every quiet act of obedience became a seed planted in the unseen realm. While others rushed ahead for recognition, you chose faithfulness over applause, integrity over approval, surrender over noise, and heaven took note. There is no hidden sacrifice that God leaves unrewarded. In the silence of your struggle, angels were already moving, rearranging outcomes, blocking attacks, and preserving doors meant only for you. While you questioned your worth, heaven was preparing your inheritance. And now the messenger stands before you to reveal what was protected, stored, and safeguarded because of your steadfast heart. The ancient words recorded in the book of Zephaniah, chapter 3, verse 17. Zephaniah, the Lord thy God, in the midst of, is mighty. He will rejoice over thee with joy. He shall rest, and will joy over thee. And in this very moment, those words rest over your spirit like warm light breaking through a long night. Chosen one, the angel stands before you not to judge you, but to confirm you, to say, heaven heard you, heaven watched you, heaven honors you, your silent sacrifices, your hidden tears, your private endurance. They have all created a fragrance that has risen before God. Others may have overlooked you, but the realm of the Spirit never did. You didn't need a spotlight, you carried a torch within. You feel the shift because the angel brings assignment, correction, affirmation, and reward all at once. The presence around you tightens again, not in fear, but in glory. You sense something unfolding, something ancient, something intentional. You've known deep down that your life has never been random. You've known your battles were not normal battles. You've known your heart has been shaped by a calling you couldn't fully explain. And now heaven confirms it. You are one of God's chosen ones. Your endurance has disrupted the plans of darkness. Your prayers, spoken or unspoken, have pushed back forces you never saw. Your light has pierced through atmospheres you didn't even realize you were protecting. And heaven says, now you will see what your faithfulness has built. But listen, this moment requires engagement, not passiveness, not hesitation, not fear. You must respond to what heaven is doing around you. Because this is not just a message. This is alignment. This is activation. This is spiritual recognition from the courts of heaven themselves. So, chosen one, if this resonates in your spirit, if your heart thunders because it knows this is for you, then take a step. Engage with the flow of what God is doing right now. Like, share, and comment as a prophetic act of agreement. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, because this is only the first doorway opening for you in the season of reward heaven is releasing. You are stepping into a time where the unseen becomes visible, where the overlooked becomes honored, where what has been hidden is lifted up, and the angel stands before you as a witness to say, "The time has come." If you can feel this stirring in your spirit, seal it now. Comment 111. You move forward from the moment the angel pauses your path, feeling the subtle trembling in your spirit as the weight of heaven continues unfolding around you. You are not walking blindly, something guides you, presses gently on your heart, urging you into a deeper awareness of what has been happening behind the scenes, because everything you carried in silence, everything you endured without recognition, is now being unveiled before the eyes of heaven's messenger. Chosen one. This is where you begin to realize that not a single struggle went unnoticed. You thought your battles were invisible. You thought your endurance was forgotten. You thought your tears evaporated into nothingness. But heaven has been watching every moment with fierce attention. The angel moves beside you now, not in judgment, but in revelation, showing you the truth you were never meant to miss. Your silent battles were seen, recorded, and honored. There is a depth to this moment that you can feel in your chest, a heaviness, not of burden, but of meaning. You sense something ancient in the way the angel acknowledges your suffering. The world dismissed you. People overlooked you. Some even mocked your faith or misunderstood your silence. But heaven's eyes stayed fixed upon you, collecting every sacrifice like precious treasure. And now, that treasure is being returned not as compensation, but as confirmation of who you've always been. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, Habakkuk, for the vision awaits its appointed time, though it tarry. Wait for it. It will surely come and will not tarry. These words settle over your spirit like a reminder that nothing you endured was for nothing. Everything had an appointed moment. The angel turns your attention to moments you forgot, nights you cried into your pillow, mornings you forced yourself to rise, days when you felt too broken to speak. These were not wasted moments. These were the foundations of heaven's response to your life. Because God does not simply see what you do in public, He values what you carry in private. And your private battles have shaped something extraordinary in the spiritual realm. You walk slowly, sensing the memories opening before you like a path. The angel invites you to revisit, not to shame you, but to reveal the divine fingerprints on every season, the betrayal you endured, the loneliness that almost suffocated you, the rejection that scarred you. Heaven saw it all, and heaven intervened more times than you will ever fully know. There were nights when darkness tried to swallow you whole, but you were protected. There were moments when despair reached for you, but grace stepped in. There were situations that should have broken you, yet somehow you stood again. You didn't realize it then, but angels were already surrounding you, covering you, shielding you. refusing to let your calling collapse under the weight of your circumstances. Chosen one. Your silent battles were not signs of abandonment. They were the very evidence of your strength. Heaven watched you walk through fire without losing your identity. Heaven watched you choose kindness when bitterness would have been easier. Heaven watched you keep faith when disappointment tried to crush you. Every time you refused to quit, your endurance sent a shockwave into the spiritual realm that disrupted the plans of darkness. The angel's presence carries a message that does not need words. You were never fighting alone. The battles that felt unbearable were softened by unseen hands, carrying the pieces of your heart when it shattered. The times you wanted to give up were the very moments heaven leaned in closest. The seasons you felt the most forsaken were the seasons when you were actually surrounded. You begin to understand now, your silence was not weakness. It was worship. Your perseverance was not unnoticed. It was honored. Your tears were not wasted. They were counted. And every moment of quiet obedience built a foundation that heaven is now preparing to reward. This is why the angel stands with you now, because the time of hiddenness is ending. The time of endurance, without recognition, is shifting. You are stepping into a season where heaven reveals how deeply God was involved in your story all along. The angel shows you the truth that changes everything. You were seen, not just once, not just occasionally, but constantly, faithfully, intentionally. And now, as the realization settles into your spirit, there is no fear, only a quiet awe, the kind that comes when heaven pulls back the curtain and reveals what your heart has always hoped was true. Your silent battles mattered. They carried weight. They were recorded, and they have positioned you for what comes next. The angel does not speak, yet you feel the echo in your soul. Heaven has recognized you, and this is only the beginning. You feel the angel guiding you deeper into the revelation of what heaven has been holding. And suddenly, the weight of everything you never spoke, the pain you swallowed, the strength you forced yourself to carry, the hidden wounds you covered with quiet smiles begins to rise to the surface, not to overwhelm you, but to free you. Because what you hid to survive, heaven recorded to redeem. Chosen one. This is the moment where you finally understand that your silence did not erase your suffering. Your quiet endurance was not dismissed just because you never voiced it. You didn't have the luxury of breaking down. You didn't have the space to fall apart. You held your life together with trembling hands while pretending everything was fine. You carried burdens in your heart that your mouth never dared to release, and heaven saw every bit of it. The angel walks with you as the atmosphere thickens, almost as if the walls between your memories and the spiritual realm are dissolving. You feel the presence of something ancient, something wise, something unshakably gentle. Because heaven does not expose your unspoken wounds to shame you. Heaven reveals them to honor the strength required to endure them. We are reminded through the writings of David in the book of Psalms, chapter 56, verse 8. Psalms, you have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book. Nop, those ancient words, now echo like truth carved into your spirit. Nothing you held inside was ever ignored. The angel reveals the moments you stayed quiet, not because you were weak, but because you were protecting your spirit from deeper harm. You kept your battles private because you didn't have anyone who could carry the truth with you. You learned to take deep breaths instead of collapsing. You swallowed your fears because speaking them felt too dangerous. You learned to hold the pieces of your heart in your own hands because no one else seemed ready to help hold them with care. The angel shows you the spiritual scrolls records of your faithfulness, your resilience, your self-control when rage wanted to take over, your compassion when you were the one who needed comfort, your courage when fear suffocated your breath. Every sacrifice you made silently became a line written in the courts of heaven. And now you begin to understand, nothing about your endurance was wasted. You feel the atmosphere shift again, not into heaviness, but into recognition. Heaven is acknowledging the weight you carried. Heaven is validating the pain you never verbalized. Heaven is honoring the strength you gave in secret. And for the first time, you allow your shoulders to relax under the truth. You were never meant to carry all of it alone. Chosen one. Your silence shaped your character in ways you don't yet fully comprehend. It forged a deeper strength. It forged humility. It forged a purity of heart that many lose in their loudness. Your quiet endurance became a weapon in the spirit, one that storms could not break. The angel turns your attention to the moments you thought you were invisible. Those nights when you cried deeply but quietly, so no one would hear. Those mornings when you smiled, though your soul felt numb. Those days when you kept going, though everything inside you begged to stop. Those choices you made to stay kind, when bitterness would have been easier. Heaven recorded all of it, not as pressure, but as beauty, because your unspoken suffering became sacred ground. And heaven honors sacred ground. This is why the angel now stands with you in this moment, not to remind you of your pain, but to reveal the strength that bloomed from it, not to reopen wounds, but to show you how heaven healed you long before you noticed, not to expose you, but to elevate you. Chosen one. Heaven does not reward noise, it rewards faithfulness. And you were faithful in silence. This moment is your recognition. This moment is your validation. This moment is heaven's way of saying, we saw what you could not say. And now, as the angel watches, you breathe through the revelation. Something stirs within you, a release. Assurandé. A knowing that your voice will not be silenced by suffering again. The strength you once hid is rising. The resilience you once buried is awakening. And the calling heaven placed on your life is beginning to unfold with clarity. But before you move forward, seal this moment in your spirit. Chosen one. Comment, I receive. Just 2 simple words. But they mark your agreement with heaven, not for performance, not for numbers, but as a prophetic declaration that you accept what heaven has recorded and what heaven is now releasing. Declare it not with pressure, but with understanding, not for the algorithm, but for alignment. Your spirit knows this is the moment to respond, because what you never spoke, heaven heard, and heaven answers now. You walk further with the angel, and the atmosphere around you begins to shift, not with heaviness this time, but with a quiet brightness rising from beneath the shadows you once carried. It is as though heaven is unveiling a truth hidden beneath every dark moment of your journey. Your light did not just survive the shadows, it grew inside them. And now the angel begins to show you how that light has shaped your path in ways you never realized. Chosen one. You have spent years thinking your struggles dimmed you. You believed your disappointments wore you down. You assumed your seasons of confusion weakened your calling. But the angel reveals something different, something you were never able to see while walking through the darkness. Your light was never extinguished. It was refined, strengthened, intensified. Every shadow you walked through became a backdrop where your light learned to shine with greater clarity. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 5, John, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Those words now wrap around your spirit like a mantle, reminding you that darkness never had the power to silence the radiance heaven placed within you. You begin to understand that the shadows did not come to extinguish you, they came to reveal you. Only in darkness does true brightness become visible. Only in hardship do hidden strengths rise to the surface. Only when everything around you dims does the flame within you begin to glow with unmistakable brilliance. The angel wants you to see that what you thought was collapse was actually awakening. And suddenly, memories flood your mind, not to haunt you, but to highlight the contrast. The time you felt spiritually numb, the season when your prayers felt hollow, the night you cried without words, the day you wanted to give up but took one more step anyway. All of those moments were shadows, trying to suffocate your hope, yet your light endured, not because you forced it, but because heaven kept it alive. Chosen one. Your light is not ordinary. It is disruptive. It unsettles darkness. It exposes deception. It irritates every plan designed to harm you. That is why certain people grew uncomfortable around you without explanation. That is why situations suddenly shifted when you entered the room. That is why attacks came without clear reason. It was never about who you were in the natural. It was always about the light you carried in the spirit. The angel reveals how often darkness made plans that should have trapped you, but your inner light shattered them before they could touch you. You were protected by a brilliance you didn't even realize you possessed. The enemy hoped to overwhelm you with shadows so heavy that your light would suffocate. But instead, the pressure refined your glow. Every trial became fuel. Every disappointment became oxygen. Every heartbreak became a spark. Your light was growing all along. Now you begin to sense a truth rising from within you, a recognition that your resilience was not accidental. Your hope was not random. Your faith was not shallow. Your survival was not luck. There was an anointing on your life that refused to be extinguished. Even when you felt like you were barely holding on, the angel's presence strengthens as revelation settles deeper into your spirit. You understand now that darkness never had the advantage. Not once. Your calling gave you authority. Your endurance sharpened your strength. Your faith kept your light burning when logic said it should have died. And every step through the shadows carved a clarity inside you that the enemy could never steal. Chosen one. There is something radiant inside you that cannot be contained. Something heaven placed. Heaven protected. Heaven grown. A brilliance that only becomes more visible after being pressed, challenged, and stretched. The angel stands beside you not to teach you how to gain light, but to reveal the light you've carried all along. And as this truth finally settles into your bones, something shifts, a quiet understanding, a calm assurance, a knowing that you were never as fragile as your pain made you believe. You were never as lost as your battles suggested. You were never as dim as your darkest seasons convinced you. Because through it all, your light rose. Through every storm, your spirit glowed. Through every shadow, heaven preserved your flame. And now, the angel turns to you with silent confirmation. Your light has become a force that darkness can no longer ignore. You feel the angel guiding you into a deeper chamber of revelation, and suddenly it is as if the atmosphere shifts from reflection to unveiling. This is the place where heaven keeps the record, the ledger of faithfulness, written not in ink, but in endurance, written not on paper, but on the pages of your spirit. And for the first time, you are allowed to see what has been stored here under your name. Chosen one. The angel leads you to a vast table made of something that looks like living, light, breathing, shimmering, pulsing gently as though heaven's heartbeat is carved into it. Upon it lies the record of your quiet obedience. Not the things you did publicly, not the moments others applauded, but the choices you made when no one was watching, the integrity you protected when you could have compromised, the kindness you offered when your own heart was bleeding, the forgiveness you released, even when you had every reason to hold on to bitterness. These are the treasures heaven calls faithfulness. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 9. Deuteronomy. Know that the Lord your God is God. He is the faithful God, keeping his covenant of love to 1,000 generations of those who love him and keep his commands. Endo. And now, the angel shows you have been keeping more of God's commands than you ever gave yourself credit for. You see moments, you forgot moments, that looked small, but heaven saw the weight behind them. That time you bit your tongue when anger tried to break loose. That day you gave, even though you barely had enough for yourself. That night you prayed for someone who hurt you. The seasons when you remained loyal, gentle, honest, steady. Even when your heart was exhausted, heaven counted every one of these as seeds of faithfulness. The angel reveals that your obedience created ripples, ripples that became waves, waves that became shifts, shifts that shaped the course of your destiny. You were not walking blindly, you were being shaped, refined, proven. And then the angel shows you something surprising. The ledger in front of you is not heavy. It glows, because every act of quiet obedience becomes light in heaven's record. Every sacrifice becomes illumination. And now that light reflects back onto you, wrapping you in a brightness that feels like honor. Chosen one. This is why heaven is responding now. Your faithfulness has matured. Your obedience has built foundation. Your endurance has written a story heaven refuses to leave unrewarded. The angel gestures toward you gently, as if inviting you into participation, not just as a witness, no, as a partner. Because heaven does not merely show you what has been recorded, heaven invites you to build forward, to step deeper into alignment, to continue shaping the spiritual legacy. Your faith has already begun, and this is the part where your heart quietly understands. You are not only receiving, you are being invited to sow into what heaven is unfolding next. Sometimes giving is not about money. Sometimes it is the way a candle offers its flame so that another candle may burn. Sometimes it is the way a river pours into smaller streams so that life can continue downstream. Sometimes it is the way a tree drops seeds, never knowing which forest it will produce. Giving is not losing, it is multiplying. So as you stand before the glowing ledger of your faithfulness, you sense a prompting, not forceful, not pressured, just a soft, divine invitation to support what pours into you, so this flow can continue reaching others who are walking through the same battles you once faced alone. It could be a like, which becomes a ripple of encouragement, a share, which becomes a lifeline for someone drowning in silence, a subscription, which becomes a commitment to stay aligned with the messages heaven is using to guide you, or even a donation, an offering that becomes a seed placed into good soil, a way of saying, I believe in what heaven is building here, and I choose to take part. Not out of pressure, not out of guilt, but out of recognition, out of gratitude, out of alignment. Because when you support the voice that supports your spirit, you are actually watering the very ground that has been watering you. The angel looks at you, not demanding, but affirming, as though heaven is saying, you are part of this story. You are not only receiving light, you are meant to help carry it. And chosen one. Your faithfulness has already been recorded. Your journey has already been honored. But now, heaven invites you to participate in a greater movement, to become a vessel, a source, a keeper of the flame. And this is only the beginning of what heaven is preparing to release through you. You follow the angel deeper into the realm where heaven stores what the earth overlooks. And suddenly the atmosphere shifts again. This time, it is not heavy, not bright, but tender, gentle, soft in a way that brushes against your spirit like a warm wind after a long, cold night. Because now the angel reveals something you did not expect. The place where heaven has been keeping your tears. Chosen one. You never imagined your tears had destinations. You thought they fell, dried, disappeared. You thought they were wasted, too quiet to matter, too private to be remembered. But the angel shows you the truth. Heaven has been collecting them like treasures. Not one of them evaporated into nothingness. Not one of them was ignored. Every tear you shed in silence was gathered, stored, and held before the throne of God. You stand before something that looks like crystal, yet alive, shimmering with a radiance that feels like mercy itself. Inside it, every tear reflects moments you lived in silence, nights when pain pressed against your chest like a weight you couldn't lift, times you held yourself together because collapsing didn't feel like an option, moments when disappointment hollowed you out from the inside. And through it all, you kept moving, kept hoping, kept trying. You didn't cry because you were weak. You cried because your spirit was fighting battles too deep for words. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. In the book of Jeremiah, chapter 30, verse 17, Jeremiah, "For I will restore you to health and heal your wounds, declares the Lord." And now the angel shows you, those tears were never signs of defeat. They were seeds of healing. The angel moves beside you, and you feel a gentle pressure on your heart, as if heaven is acknowledging the pain you worked so hard to hide. You see glimpses of yourself in the hardest moments, the heartbreak you masked behind a smile, the grief you carried quietly, the disappointment you swallowed because you didn't want to burden anyone. Every time your chest tightened with silent agony, heaven leaned in closer. The angels were not distant observers. They were witnesses, guardians, comforters assigned to protect what was breaking inside you. Chosen one. Your tears were not failures, they were prayers. They were unspoken conversations with God. They were the language of your spirit when your voice couldn't rise. The angel shows you that there is power in your tears, power heaven has been storing, valuing, redeeming, because tears born from faith, tears born from endurance, tears born from choosing love when you had every reason to shut down, they carry weight in the spiritual realm. They move things, they shift things, they break things open. Your tears softened your heart without breaking it. They washed your spirit without drowning it. They cleansed your path without erasing your strength. You begin to understand that heaven never needed you to pretend you were strong. Heaven honored your vulnerability more than your perfection. Heaven received your tears more tenderly than any spoken prayer. Where the world saw weakness, God saw openness. Where others would have judged, heaven drew near. The angel reveals something else. Your tears did more than heal you. They protected you. Every tear shed in surrender weakened the grip of the enemy. Every tear cried in sincerity built a shield around your destiny. Every tear you released washed away something that tried to attach itself to your spirit. You didn't just cry, you purified your path. The angel shows you how your tears have become part of the reason heaven is accelerating things for you now. Part of the reason breakthroughs are opening. Part of the reason spiritual doors are shifting. Because tears that fall in surrender do not disappear. They water the ground for the blessings that are coming. Chosen one. Heaven is not ashamed of your tears. Heaven cherishes them. Heaven honors them. Heaven uses them. You feel something loosening in your chest, a release you didn't realize you needed. Not because the pain was small, but because heaven is finally showing you what your suffering produced. And now, as the angel stands beside you, there is a sense of completion. A feeling that what was once painful has now been transformed into something sacred. Before this moment closes, heaven invites you to respond, not out of pressure, but out of alignment. When heaven reveals something this deep, the heart responds with recognition. Chosen one. If your spirit feels this truth, if something inside you exhaled for the first time in a long time, then seal this revelation. Comment 444. Not to impress anyone, not for attention, but as a prophetic acknowledgement that heaven has seen every tear, and the season of restoration is beginning. Your tears have been held. Your wounds are being healed. And heaven is moving for you now. You step forward with the angel, and the atmosphere around you shifts once more, not into sorrow, not into revelation of wounds, but into a quiet threshold, a doorway, a place where the unseen years of endurance begin to transform into something new, something weighty, something visible. This is the moment where heaven begins to turn hidden faithfulness into honor. Chosen one. You have lived much of your life unseen. You have walked through seasons where your goodness went unnoticed, where your loyalty was taken for granted, where your kindness was received but rarely returned. You gave without expecting repayment. You forgave without receiving apology. You loved people who did not always know how to love you back. And yet, you remained steadfast. According to what is revealed in the book of Ruth, chapter 2, verse 12. Ruth, may the Lord repay you for what you have done, and may you be richly rewarded by the Lord, under whose wings you have come to take refuge. The angel gestures to a doorway made not of wood or stone, but of light soft, warm, pulsing with a rhythm that seems to match your own heartbeat. You realize this is not simply a portal. It is a recognition, a passage into a season where the seeds you planted in the dark finally rise into visibility. You feel the presence of heaven surrounding you, pressing gently against your shoulders as though guiding you forward. And then the angel shows you scenes of your past, not the painful ones now, but the faithful ones, the quiet moments when you chose patience, the days you swallowed your frustration to keep peace, the nights you prayed for others when your own heart felt empty, the sacrifices no one acknowledged, the efforts no one thanked you for. the choices you made to stay aligned with goodness even when it cost you. Heaven never forgot. The angel reveals that every act of goodness, every silent yes to what was right, became a brick in the foundation of your destiny. You were not walking blindly. You were building, even when you felt like you were standing still. Heaven saw construction. Even when you thought nothing was changing, heaven saw progress. Even when you believed your efforts were insignificant, heaven saw legacy. This threshold marks the moment where legacy begins to surface. You step closer to the doorway, and something stirs inside you, a rising awareness that you are being transitioned into a season of recognition, not the shallow recognition that comes from humans, but the deep recognition that comes from heaven, acknowledging what was done in secret. You feel it like a warm wind in your spirit, a sense of lifting, of transition, of movement. The angel reveals that honor is not a reward for perfection. It is the fruit of integrity. And integrity is something you carried even when it cost you comfort. You stayed true to what was right, even when it required silence. You held your values, even when others abandoned theirs. You stood your ground when compromise whispered enticing promises. Heaven saw. Heaven remembers. Heaven responds now. As you stand before the threshold, you begin to understand that your new season is not a random blessing, it is recognition. Heaven is not giving you what you have not earned. Heaven is revealing what you have already sown. The reward was never withheld. It simply waited for the appointed time. And that time is now. You feel a gentle stirring in your chest, the kind that signals alignment, a knowing that your feet are finally standing where your spirit has long been called to stand. The angel does not push you through the doorway. Instead, the presence gently invites you to cross, as if saying, "You have been faithful. Now step into what faithfulness produces." No, chosen one. This new season is not about proving yourself. It is about receiving what has always been written for you. You are stepping into the place where heaven publicly affirms what you privately lived. You are crossing the threshold where quiet endurance becomes visible elevation. You are entering a chapter where the sacrifices you made in silence begin to speak loudly on your behalf. There is no fear in this moment, no hesitation, only a deep and steady confidence rising from the truth that heaven is honoring you. Not because you demanded it, but because you lived for it without realizing you were being watched. And as you stand in the glow of the threshold, you feel it. Your hidden season is ending. Your recognition season is beginning. You are stepping into visibility, into honor, into the unfolding of what your faithfulness built. This is the doorway where heaven meets your endurance, and heaven is ready to reward you. You feel the angel's presence shift again, not backward toward your past, but outward toward the unseen battlefield that surrounded you long before you understood what you were walking through. The air thickens, not with fear, but with truth, because now the angel begins to reveal what resisted you, what opposed you, what attempted to break you, and why none of it succeeded. Chosen one. You have always sensed that your battles were not normal. There were seasons when the intensity of opposition made no logical sense. People turned against you without reason. Opportunities slipped away without explanation. Problems appeared suddenly, like shadows stretching across your path, and you wondered if something was wrong with you, if maybe you were cursed, unlucky, or simply destined to struggle. But the angel reveals the truth. It was never because you were weak. It was because your light was disruptive. Your presence alone unsettled darkness. Your obedience irritated the plans of the enemy. Your resilience frustrated every attempt to stop your destiny. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12. Ephesians. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against authorities, against the powers of this dark world and the spiritual forces of evil in heavenly realms. I too. And now you finally understand, the battles you faced were spiritual long before they ever appeared in the natural. The angel shows you scenes, moments, when you thought you were fighting people, circumstances, or emotions. But in reality, you were confronting spiritual shadows designed to drain you. Those sudden waves of sadness, the unexplained heaviness, the irrational anxiety, the strange resistance that followed your every step, those were not coincidences. They were indicators of a battle happening around you. But here is the truth heaven wants you to see. You did not survive these battles because you were strong. You survived them because your light terrified what was fighting you. Even on days when you felt dim, your light shone brighter than anything that rose against you. Even when you were broken, your spirit remained unbroken. Even when you lost confidence, heaven never lost confidence in you. Darkness underestimated you not because you were loud, but because you were chosen. The angel reveals how many times the enemy attempted to throw confusion into your mind, to bring chaos into your relationships, to plant discouragement into your heart. But your spirit, anchored even in weakness, refused to surrender. There is a defiance inside you that you did not learn from the world. Heaven placed it there, a holy resistance, a spiritual grit, a refusal to bow to anything that seeks to diminish your calling. Chosen one. The angel shows you the moments when the enemy thought it had you cornered, the nights when your heart felt too heavy to continue, the days when exhaustion pressed against your bones, the seasons when you questioned whether anything in your life would ever change. In those moments, darkness celebrated too early, because heaven was working behind the scenes, intercepting attacks you never saw, redirecting harm before it reached you, closing doors that would have destroyed you even though you begged for them to open. You have enemies you never met. You have battles you never fought. You have victories you never realized were won on your behalf. The angel reveals these truths not to glorify the battle, but to highlight your endurance. You did not walk through these storms because you were reckless. You walked through them because you were protected. Your spirit was shielded. Your mind was guarded. Your destiny was preserved. And now you begin to understand, your survival was not accidental. Your endurance was not ordinary. Your resilience was not human strength. It was divine empowerment. You were carried when you thought you were walking. You were defended when you thought you were alone. You were upheld by a power you could not see. A power that refused to let darkness win. The angel lets you see how many traps you stepped over without realizing they had been set for you. How many setbacks were prevented before they ever reached your life? How many attacks dissolved before they touched you? Chosen one. Heaven did not simply watch your battles. Heaven fought for you. And the angel standing beside you is living proof that your life has been protected from the beginning. Now you stand in a deeper truth. Your enemies have been silenced, not because you fought harder, but because your light is untouchable. The angel turns to you, silent but radiant, and you understand the message without a single word being spoken. You have already defeated what tried to defeat you. And this is only the beginning of what heaven will reveal. You walk further with the angel, and something begins to rise within you, not pain, not fear, but clarity, a clarity that feels ancient, purposeful, and deeply personal. Because now the angel reveals something you never realized about yourself, the power of every yes you whispered in moments when obedience felt costly. This is the moment where you finally understand that your small choices carried enormous spiritual weight. Chosen one, you have said yes to heaven in ways you never recognized. You obeyed when you were tired. You surrendered when you were hurting. You trusted when you did not understand. You forgave when your heart felt torn. You chose purity when compromise promised comfort. You chose honesty when lies would have been easier. You chose faith when doubt surrounded you like fog. And now the angel shows you every small yes became a weapon in the spirit. You thought those choices were private. You thought they didn't matter because no one applauded. No one noticed. No one rewarded you. But heaven noticed. Heaven recorded. Heaven responded. What felt small on earth shook things in the spiritual realm. According to what is revealed in the book of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9, Galatians, let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap, if we faint not. Now the angel shows you the spiritual harvest rising from every hidden yes you gave in moments of pressure. You begin to see those moments like sparks rising in the dark, tiny glimmers of obedience that ignited fires in the unseen. The time you chose to pray instead of complain. The day you chose to walk away instead of retaliate. The moment you decided to keep believing, even though nothing looked promising. Each yes became a shift. Each yes became a breakthrough. Each yes became a declaration of who you truly are. Your yes carried authority. Your yes carried weight. Your yes carried heaven's fingerprints. The angel reveals that darkness tried to attack your yes, tried to exhaust you, tried to make you numb, tried to make you apathetic, tried to make you question whether obedience mattered at all. Because the enemy understood something you didn't. Your yes was dangerous. It disrupted plans. It confused attacks. It dismantled strategies formed against you. Every time you obeyed, something in the spirit broke. Every time you said yes, something in the spirit shifted. Every time you trusted, something in the spirit opened. Chosen one, you have no idea how powerful you have been. The angel shows you scenes, battles, where your yes shattered darkness like lightning. Assignments of the enemy that lost their power the moment you chose to stay aligned. Situations that should have destroyed you but collapsed because your obedience refused to let them stand. You didn't fight with swords. You fought with surrender. You won through obedience. Your yes was your warfare. And now heaven responds not with applause, but with revelation. The angel reveals how your yes kept you on the right path, even when you felt lost. Your yes kept your heart soft, even when you were hurting. Your yes protected your spirit when bitterness tried to enter. Your yes aligned you with blessings you haven't even seen yet. You were never weak. You were obedient, and obedience is strength disguised as surrender. Now you feel something rising inside you, a recognition of the authority you didn't know you carried. You sense that your small yeses were never small. They were seeds planted in divine soil, waiting for their appointed time to bloom. This is why heaven is elevating you now. This is why doors are beginning to move. This is why breakthroughs are shifting into place. Not because you demanded anything, but because you obeyed everything. Before this moment closes, The angel pauses. You feel a stirring inside your spirit, a gentle push that feels like an invitation, not for performance, not for ritual, but for alignment. Chosen one. If your spirit recognizes the truth of this moment, if you can feel the weight of every yes you have ever given, if something inside you is awakening with understanding, then seal this revelation with a simple declaration. Comment, I stand. Just 2 words, but they carry weight. Because when you write them, you are not typing for attention. You are not responding out of pressure. You are declaring to heaven and to your own spirit, I stand in obedience. I stand in clarity. I stand in my calling. You stand where others fell away. You stand because heaven strengthened you. You stand because your yes carried power, and heaven honors you now. You move with the angel into a space that feels older than time itself, ancient, luminous, filled with a reverence that silences every stray thought. Here, the air vibrates with something different, not memory, not healing, but inheritance. Because now the angel reveals what heaven prepared for you long before your battles, long before your tears, long before your obedience, long before you even understood you were chosen. This is the chamber of the crown, chosen one. You see it before the angel, even gestures toward it, a radiance resting on a pedestal carved from glory itself. It is not gold like earthly crowns. It is not heavy with jewels. It appears almost weightless, as though made of breath and eternity. You realize immediately, this crown was not forged after your suffering. It was forged before your first breath. Heaven did not wait to see if you were worthy. Heaven declared your worth first, and gave you the crown to grow into. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 19, verse 5. Exodus, ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me, above all people, for all the earth is mine. And now the angel shows you. That declaration wasn't general, it included you. You step closer, and the crown glows brighter, responding to your presence. You sense something rising inside you, not arrogance, not entitlement, but a quiet recognition of identity. The crown is not a reward. It is a reminder, a symbol of who you were always meant to be. A symbol that heaven saw greatness in you long before the world tried to bury it. And the angel reveals the truth. Your battles did not create your identity. They revealed it. Your pain did not earn this crown. It shaped you so you could carry it. You begin to understand that every hardship carved room inside your character for the weight of your calling. Every disappointment deepened your capacity for purpose. Every quiet act of endurance strengthened the spiritual muscles needed for authority. Heaven wasn't punishing you. Heaven was preparing you. The crown is the proof. The angel motions for you to observe the details within it. And suddenly, you see something astonishing. Woven into its radiance are reflections of your own journey. Not the parts that broke you, the parts that revealed your strength. The nights you kept believing, the days you kept walking, the seasons you kept loving, the moments you kept forgiving. All of them are interwoven into the brilliance of this crown, like threads of light stitched through eternity. You realize the crown does not only represent destiny, it represents partnership. Heaven prepared it, but your endurance polished it. Heaven placed it aside, but your faith brought you here to claim it. Chosen one. This crown is not meant to sit in a chamber forever. It is meant to sit upon the head of someone who understands the cost of carrying light someone who knows how to rule their spirit before ever ruling anything else, someone who has been humbled by suffering, strengthened by surrender, purified by obedience, someone like you. And now the angel turns to you, not demanding, but inviting, because this is where heaven asks you to step into alignment with what has been prepared for you. Not passively, not timidly, but intentionally, because a crown is not just something you receive, it is something you must choose to walk in. This is where the call becomes personal. Your journey has been nourished by words from heaven. These messages have poured into you, like living water, comforting you when you were dry, strengthening you when you were tired, guiding you when you were lost. And now, heaven invites you to support the very stream that has been feeding your spirit, not out of pressure, not out of guilt, but out of participation, because when you support what pours into you, you give it the strength to pour into others. When you it's like opening a window for someone else to see the same light. When you share, it's like handing a lantern to someone still walking in darkness. When you subscribe, it's like planting your roots deeper into the soil that nourishes you. And when you donate, it's like bringing oil to the lamp that keeps burning through the night, ensuring the flame doesn't fade. Every gesture becomes a seed. Every seed becomes light for someone else. And that light becomes legacy. The angel lets you sense this truth in your spirit. Your crown is connected to your calling, and your calling is connected to the light you help carry forward. Chosen one. You stand before the crown, heaven prepared for you long ago, and heaven whispers through the angel's stillness. It is time. Time to rise. Time to align. Time to carry what was always meant for you. You move with the angel into a quieter realm now. One that feels softer, warmer. Almost like stepping into a memory you didn't know was still alive inside you. The air is gentler here. The atmosphere calmer, yet underneath that calm is a depth so overwhelming that it pulls you inward, because this is the place where heaven reveals something you have never fully understood. You were never unseen. Chosen one. The angel stands beside you as scenes begin to unfold. Not the battles, not the tears, not the shadows, but the interventions. The moments heaven stepped in without your awareness. The times divine hands redirected your path before danger could touch you. The days when you thought you got lucky. The nights when you believed you survived by chance. The seasons when you assumed you simply made it through. Oh, heaven shows you now. None of it was luck. None of it was coincidence. None of it was random. You begin to see flashes, moments you forgot. Moments you never noticed. Moments you never connected to divine protection. The time you missed the opportunity that would have broken you. The day you were delayed for reasons that frustrated you, only to realize now that the delay saved you. The relationship that fell apart unexpectedly, sparing you from a future that would have crushed your spirit. The door that closed so painfully, but was in truth a shield placed between you and destruction. Heaven had been working while you were unaware, as Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 10. Matthew, for I tell you, their angels in heaven always see the face of my Father in heaven. Emily, and now the angel reveals, yours has never left your side. You see it clearly, the moments when discouragement pressed on your chest so heavily you could barely breathe. Yet somehow you found the strength to take one more step. That was not self-generated strength. That was intervention. The nights when darkness hovered so close, you could feel it in your bones. Yet you were preserved. That was not endurance. That was divine protection. The days when your mind was exhausted, when intrusive thoughts tried to pull you down, when confusion clouded your judgment, yet you did not break. That was not resilience. That was heaven covering your mind with unseen hands. The angel lets you feel the truth. You were held. You were guarded. You were never alone. And now, the more the angel reveals, the more you begin to recognize the pattern. Heaven intervened the most in the moments you felt the most abandoned. The quieter heaven seemed. The closer your guardian stood, the more painful the season. The tighter heaven wrapped its protection around your life. You see moments when you thought your prayers went unanswered, but heaven was working answers you could not yet see. You see paths you thought were blocked, but heaven was redirecting you to safer, higher ground. You see friendships that ended abruptly, but heaven removed people who could not walk with you into the next chapter. Every ending saved you from something. Every delay protected you from harm. Every redirection was divine love, disguised as disappointment. The angel reveals the invisible battles you never fought, the ambushes that dissolved before reaching you, the spiritual attacks that broke apart before they could touch your life. You never knew how many storms heaven intercepted on your behalf, how many dangers heaven deflected, how many weapons were formed but never prospered. You walked through life thinking you were surviving. Heaven knew you were being shielded, and something inside you softens because you realize now that God did not simply watch you, He carried you. You realize God did not simply hear your cries, He protected the parts of you that never spoke. You realize God did not simply comfort you, He strategically guided the course of your destiny long before you had the wisdom to choose for yourself. Chosen one. The angel shows you the protection wrapped around you like a cloak, thick, luminous, unbreakable. A covering that followed you from childhood into adulthood, through seasons of chaos and seasons of clarity. You see how many times innocence was preserved. Identity was guarded. Purpose was preserved. You were never invisible to heaven, never forgotten, never overlooked. Even in your darkest nights, heaven stayed awake. Even in your deepest wounds, heaven stayed near. Even in your loneliest seasons, heaven stayed present. You feel a stillness settle into your heart, not the stillness of emptiness, but the stillness of realization, a peace that comes from understanding that you did not navigate life on your own. You were guided, you were watched over, you were kept. And now the angel stands before you with a truth that echoes through your spirit like a warm flame. You were never unseen. Heaven has always been closer than you knew. Oh, you step forward with the angel, and suddenly the atmosphere around you begins to vibrate, subtle at first, then steadily, like the ground beneath your spirit is shifting into alignment with something long prophesied over your life. This realm does not feel reflective like the earlier ones. It does not feel heavy like the chambers of wounds, nor tender like the hall where tears were kept. No, this place feels alive, awake, in motion. Because now the angel reveals the moment heaven has been preparing you for, the activation of your reward season. Chosen one. You have endured the hidden seasons. You have passed through the silent battles. You have carried the unseen burdens. You have grown through the shadows and remained faithful in the quiet. Now the angel shows you the shift your once still spiritual timeline beginning to move with speed. Momentum. Acceleration. What once felt stuck is loosening. What once felt delayed is breaking open. What once felt out of reach is drawing near. Heaven speaks through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 102, verse 13. Psalms. You will arise and have mercy on Zion, for the time to favor her. Yes, the set time has come. And as those ancient words fall into your spirit, you feel it. Your set time has come. The angel gestures before you, and you see threads of light, thousands of them, representing every prayer you once released in faith, every tear you sowed in surrender, every quiet act of obedience heaven recorded. For years they remained still, waiting. But now, under heaven's command, they begin to move, converge, interlock, weave themselves into a path leading forward. Your reward season is not random. It is the culmination of everything you survived. You see moments where you stayed faithful, even when you felt empty. Times when you gave, even when you lacked. Days when you trusted, even when hope trembled inside your chest. These moments have matured. They have reached their appointed time to manifest. And now the angel begins to show you what acceleration looks like in the spiritual realm. Doors that once refused to open begin to unlock. Paths that were blurry begin to clear. Opportunities that drifted away begin to circle back. Relationships aligned with your purpose begin to appear. Breakthroughs long delayed begin to descend with speed. Chosen one. The enemy tried to convince you that you were forgotten, but heaven was preparing the timing. The angel reveals that if the blessings came earlier, they would have crushed you instead of crowned you. If the opportunities arrived in the wrong season, you would have been unprepared. If the relationships aligned too soon, they would have misaligned your destiny. Heaven was not withholding from you. It was protecting what was meant for you. And now, what was once protected is being released. You feel something lifting off of your spirit, the weight of delay. You feel something rising inside your chest, the breath of divine timing. You feel something awakening in your bones, a readiness you did not have before. The angel shows you how heaven begins to accelerate what belongs to you. Blessings move quickly now, not slowly. Breakthroughs come in clusters, not in fragments. Favor multiplies instead of trickling. Doors open in sequence instead of isolation. Everything begins to align not by your effort, but by divine orchestration. This is acceleration. This is activation. This is the beginning of your reward season. And then the angel reveals something deeper. Acceleration is not only about blessings coming faster. Acceleration is also about you changing faster. Your discernment sharpens. Your confidence strengthens. Your spirit awakens. Your purpose clarifies. Your voice grows steady. You are not only receiving, you are becoming. Heaven accelerates blessings because heaven has accelerated you. Then, in the midst of this revelation, the angel becomes still. You feel a pull, a prompting, a holy invitation, because moments of activation require acknowledgement. Heaven invites you to respond, not out of ritual, but as a spiritual seal. If your spirit feels this shift, if your heart recognizes the timing, if you know this season is speaking directly to you, then mark this moment with a declaration. Comment. 888. Not for attention, not for appearance, but as a prophetic act, a sign in the spirit that you recognize the shift and receive the acceleration, because this is the season where delay loses its power and destiny begins to run toward you. You step into the next realm with the angel, and instantly you sense a shift, not a gentle unveiling like before, not a comforting revelation, but the unmistakable weight of confrontation. This is the realm where heaven exposes what once worked against you, not to frighten you, but to free you, because now the angel brings you face to face with a force that has lingered around your life far too long, one that shaped the rhythms of your journey without your awareness, the spirit of delay. Chosen one. The atmosphere tightens as the truth begins to unfold. Delay was never an accident. Delay was never random. Delay was not simply bad timing. It was a strategy crafted in shadows, targeting your momentum, your belief, your progress, your hope, because the enemy knew something about you that you did not yet know about yourself. Your destiny is time-sensitive. You begin to see your past through a different lens. Times when opportunities slipped away at the last second. Moments when you felt right on the edge of breakthrough, only to be pulled back by sudden complications. Seasons when the timing seemed to fight against you, regardless of how ready you were, how faithful you had been, how deeply you had prayed. Delay disguised itself as coincidence, misfortune, or simple waiting. But the angel reveals the truth. Delay targeted you because of the magnitude of what you carry. Heaven speaks through the writings of Daniel. In the book of Daniel, chapter 10, verse 12 to 13, Daniel, from the first day you set your heart to understand, your words were heard. But the prince of Persia withstood me 21 days. And now you realize some of what you called waiting was actually spiritual resistance. The angel shows you visions, threads of time, stretched unnaturally, like hands pulling on the flow of your life to slow it down. Assignments that were meant to reach you sooner. Blessings that should have manifested earlier. Seasons that were designed to unfold with ease, yet became entangled in invisible interference. Delay did not come to destroy your destiny. It came to exhaust your belief in it. Delay works subtly. It drains energy. It whispers doubt. It convinces you that you are behind, that you are overlooked, that nothing is moving. It whispers, maybe it's not meant for you. Maybe you misheard God. Maybe you're not ready. But the angel stands before you now to expose every lie delay ever spoke over your life. You see moments when excitement turned into stagnation, moments when clarity dissolved into confusion, moments when open doors suddenly slammed shut, moments when support turned into isolation. These were not failures. These were not proof you were unqualified or forgotten. They were targeted interruptions, deliberate slowings, attempts to weaken the fire inside you. But then the angel reveals something unexpected. Delay has not defeated you. Delay has not destroyed you. Delay has not cancelled your destiny. Because even when everything slowed down, you kept moving. Even when progress felt impossible, you kept choosing faith. Even when hope dimmed, you refused to let it die. Your perseverance weakened delay's influence over time. Your endurance broke patterns you didn't know you were breaking. Your faith created fractures in resistance you didn't realize existed. And now, the angel brings you into this realm to show you the final undoing of delay. You see the spirit of delay thin, dark, thread-like, wrapped around timelines, moments, and opportunities, not strong enough to destroy, but strong enough to stall. Then you feel it, a surge from within you, something heaven built, something forged through endurance, something delay never expected. Your light rises. It rises slowly at first. Then with force, it expands, flooding through every threaded barrier, dissolving resistance like mist meeting morning sun. The angel does not intervene, not because you are alone, but because heaven designed this moment for your spirit to break what once held you. And as your light intensifies, you realize delay survived only because you didn't know it was there. But now that you see it, it cannot stay. What once stalled you begins to unravel. What once resisted you begins to collapse. What once slowed you begins to release you. You feel time itself shifting, aligning, tightening, correcting, harmonizing back into the pace heaven originally wrote for you. Lost years do not feel lost anymore. Missed opportunities do not feel gone. Broken timelines do not feel broken. Because heaven restores what delay distorted. Heaven accelerates what delay slowed. Heaven multiplies what delay tried to diminish. The angel looks at you, not with urgency, but with pride, because breaking delay is not an act of violence. It is an awakening, a recognition of your rightful pace, a reclaiming of your ordained timing. Chosen one. The truth settles in your spirit like fire. Your destiny was never late. You were never behind. You are stepping into alignment at the exact moment heaven intended. The season of slow is over. The grip of delay is broken. And now, destiny moves toward you without resistance. You move with the angel into a realm that feels heavier in glory, richer in meaning, like stepping into the heart of your calling itself. The air is still, not with silence, but with reverence. You sense that this place is not meant for many. It is reserved for those who have endured, those who have remained faithful, those who have walked through fire without losing the essence of who they are. Because now the angel brings you into the chamber where heaven reveals the mantle prepared only for the steadfast. Chosen one. This mantle is not clothing. It is identity. It is authority. It is spiritual rank woven into the fabric of your being. Heaven does not place mantles on the impulsive or the unrooted. Heaven places them on those who can carry weight without collapsing. Those who can stand when storms rise. Those who can remain anchored when everything around them shifts. You have proven, again and again, that your heart is both tender and unbreakable. And now the angel reveals what your endurance has earned. Before you, suspended in light, the mantle hangs flowing, radiant, woven with threads that appear alive. It shimmers not only with glory, but with memory. The strands carry the texture of your journey, trials you survived, obedience you practiced, prayers you whispered, sacrifices you made without applause. Each thread contains a moment where heaven saw your heart and said, "This one can be trusted." Now, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old, in the book of Isaiah, chapter 61, verse 3, Isaiah, he gives them a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. Now the angel shows you, this mantle is the fulfillment of that ancient promise over your life. The angel reveals scenes of your past again, but this time through a different lens. You see moments where you chose integrity when compromise offered shortcuts, moments where you stayed kind, even when bitterness tempted you, moments where you protected others, even when you were unprotected. Heaven was not testing you, heaven was preparing you. Every right choice added another thread to this mantle. Every hardship you overcame strengthened the fabric. Every season of perseverance expanded its measure. You feel something rising in your spirit, a recognition that this mantle does not change who you are. It reveals who you've already become. The angel gestures to it, and for the first time, you understand why your storms felt heavier than others, why your battles were fiercer, why your isolation felt deeper, why your waiting lasted longer. Heaven was shaping a mantle large enough to cover the calling you were destined to walk in. Mantles for the steadfast are not light, they are expansive. They carry territory, influence, and anointing. You see now that your suffering was not punishment. It was preparation, refinement, alignment. Because a mantle like this cannot rest on someone unstable in spirit. It cannot rest on someone easily swayed by opinion. It cannot rest on someone who breaks under pressure. And so heaven allowed the pressure to shape you, not to crush you, but to strengthen the foundation of your identity. The angel lifts the mantle, and suddenly the atmosphere thickens with glory. It drapes over your shoulders, not violently, not forcefully, but with the gentleness of an embrace long promised. And as it settles upon you, something ancient awakens. You feel heavier, but not burdened. You feel fuller, but not overwhelmed. You feel more grounded, more seen, more aligned. This mantle does not add weight, it reveals strength. It does not add calling, it activates purpose. It does not add identity, it confirms destiny. The angel steps back, admiring the transformation that even you can sense. The mantle shifts around your spirit, adapting to your shape, merging with your essence. You feel authority where insecurity once lived. You feel clarity where confusion once clouded you. You feel steadiness where fear once whispered. Then you realize something profound. The mantle is not only for you, it is for those who will be impacted by the light you carry. Your endurance was never meant to end with your survival. It was meant to equip you, to guide others, to protect others, to stand for others. The mantle marks you as one who leads by example, one who carries heaven's authority with humility, one who walks with a strength refined, not performed, chosen one. The angel looks at you with a knowing that sinks deep into your spirit. You carry what only the faithful can carry. And as the mantle settles fully upon you, the truth becomes undeniable. This is who you were always meant to be. Dưới đây là section 15 hoàn chỉnh. Giữ nguyên toàn bộ giọng văn, chỉ thêm một câu kinh thánh, theo đúng chuẩn bản yêu cầu không trùng lặp với các section khác. Được đặt tự nhiên, bôi đậm và không phá cấu trúc. You step with the angel into a realm unlike any, before a realm that feels wide, expansive, almost like standing on a mountaintop at dawn. The air is crisp, charged with purpose, carrying the quiet hum of something awakening across distances you cannot see. Because now the angel reveals a truth that has been building since the moment heaven first marked you. Your light has become a signal, chosen one. You never realized it, but heaven did. Your endurance did not only protect you, it illuminated paths for others. Your obedience did not only strengthen you, it broke patterns for generations. Your resilience did not only carry you, It created spiritual momentum in the atmosphere around you. As the apostle reminds us in his letter to the Philippians, chapter 2, verse 15, "Ye shine as lights in the world, blameless and harmless, the sons of God." And now the angel shows you, this is exactly what your journey has shaped you to become. Your light is not accidental, it is intentional. It is not quiet, it is radiant. It is not personal, it is influential. You stand at the edge of this realm, sensing souls across distance, people you've never met. Walking through storms you once survived. They are drawn to your light like travelers drawn to a lighthouse on a violent sea, not because you were perfect, but because you carried your flame through nights that should have extinguished it. You realize now, heaven did not allow your battles to bury you. Heaven allowed them to position you. Your story is now a lantern for those still moving through darkness. Your healing is a pathway. Your restoration is a testimony. Your strength is a bridge. The angel gestures outward, and you see it, a radiant beam rising from within you, stretching across realms like a banner of hope. Your light has become a signal, a spiritual landmark, a guiding star for others. Heaven is preparing to awaken, and this is where heaven gently reveals your next role, not only to carry the light, but to share it, strengthen it, and support the vessels through which it spreads. A like is no longer just a tap, it is a spark passed to another flame. A share is no longer just an action, it is you lifting your lantern higher, letting its beam travel farther. A subscription is no longer a button, it is the act of planting your spirit beside the stream that feeds you. And a donation offered sincerely, willingly becomes the oil that keeps the lamp burning through the long night, ensuring the flame reaches those who have no fire of their own. Yet, you are not just a receiver, you are a carrier, a multiplier, a steward of light. The angel lets you feel the weight of this truth, not as pressure, but as purpose. Light was never meant to stay isolated. Light moves, light travels, light draws, light ignites, and heaven is now aligning your path with others who need what burns within you. You sense it, people who will rise because you shined, people who will heal because you survived, people who will awaken because your endurance created a signal bright enough to guide them home. This is why heaven gently invites you to be present, to support the flow, to nurture the light that once nurtured you. Because every action you take becomes part of the mission heaven is amplifying through your life. When you comment, you anchor the message inside you. You etch your heaven's frequency. You reinforce the signal your spirit now emits. You declare, I am not just receiving, I am standing in alignment. End of Chosen One. You may not see it with your natural eyes, but heaven sees it clearly. Your light is no longer small. It is no longer quiet. It is no longer hidden. It is a beacon, a fire on high ground, a signal seen from afar, and heaven intends for it to shine further than you ever imagined. You follow the angel into a realm that feels sharply defined, clear, focused, almost like stepping into the command center of your destiny. This place is different from every chamber you have visited before. There is no heaviness of past wounds, no echoes of old battles, nor shadows lingering in corners. Here, everything is illuminated with a purposeful clarity, as if heaven has removed all distractions so you can receive the next piece of your journey without interference. Because now the angel reveals what few ever hear clearly. the final instruction required to handle the blessing that is coming. Chosen one. Heaven does not release elevation without direction. Power without guidance can destroy. Blessing without wisdom can dissolve. Acceleration without instruction can become chaos. This is why heaven brings you into this realm not to reward you, but to prepare you. Your next season is not fragile, but it is precise. It does not require perfection, but it does require alignment. And so the angel stands before you, not as a comforter or a revealer, but as a messenger bearing divine instruction. The ancient words recorded in the book of Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9, be strong and of a good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For the Lord thy God is with thee wherever thou goest. And now the angel makes it clear. This instruction is not a suggestion, it is a requirement for the season ahead. You feel the atmosphere shift as the angel unveils the 3 core directives heaven is placing upon your spirit. They are not complicated, not burdensome, not designed to overwhelm. They are simple, clear, and weighty like keys forged to open the doors heaven is about to set before you. Instruction 1. Guard your atmosphere. The angel shows you how much your environment shaped your past voices that drained you, distractions that stole your focus, people who pulled you back into cycles you had already grown beyond. In your next season, your atmosphere cannot be casual. It cannot be filled with noise. It cannot be saturated with voices that are not aligned with your calling. Heaven is elevating you, and elevation requires atmosphere. You see a vision of yourself stepping into rooms that feel lighter, sharper, holier, rooms where your spirit breathes instead of shrinking. The angel reveals that your discernment will deepen. In this season, you will feel instantly what belongs and what does not, and your obedience in protecting your atmosphere will protect your destiny. Instruction 2. Honor the pace of heaven. The angel shows you timelines, momentum rising, events converging, opportunities appearing with sudden speed. Your new season will not move slowly. It will not resemble the delays you walked through. It will not wait for your hesitation. Heaven reveals that acceleration requires sensitivity. Your spirit must be tuned, awake, listening. You see yourself stepping forward with steady confidence, not rushing ahead, not dragging behind, moving in harmony with heaven's pace. The angel reveals that if you stay aligned with the rhythm of the Spirit, nothing will overwhelm you. But if you try to force your own timing, you will exhaust yourself unnecessarily. This instruction is simple. Follow. Do not force. Instruction 3. Protect what heaven places in your hands. In your next season, you will receive blessings that require stewardship relationships that must be handled with gentleness, opportunities that must be nurtured with wisdom, resources that must be guarded with integrity, revelations that must be held with maturity. The angel reveals that heaven is entrusting you with more because you have demonstrated faithfulness in little. You see visions of doors opening, some small, some large, all strategic. These are not random blessings, they are building blocks. Heaven is positioning you not only for increase, but for influence, and influence must be carried with reverence. You are not to hold tightly out of fear, but carefully out of responsibility. As the angel steps closer, you sense the weight of these instructions settling into your spirit, not heavy like burden, but firm like foundation. They feel familiar, as if they were written into you long before this moment, waiting for you to grow into them. The angel reveals something that strikes your heart with quiet certainty. These instructions are not about restriction. They are about readiness. Heaven is not asking you to become someone new. Heaven is asking you to become everything you already are. And then the angel unfolds a vision you. Standing in your next season, you are steadier than before, more grounded, more aware, more discerning. You move not with fear, but with anchored wisdom. You carry not hesitation, but holy confidence. You are not overwhelmed by blessing, you are prepared for it. The angel watches you for a moment, as if ensuring that these instructions have settled deeply within your heart. Then, in a silence that feels like sacred affirmation, you understand the message without words. You are ready for what heaven is about to place on your path, but readiness is sustained by obedience. Enda, chosen one. This is your final preparation. The instruction is clear. The path is aligned. Your spirit is steady, and heaven is preparing to release what only the faithful can carry. You walk with the angel into the final chamber, and immediately you sense it. This realm carries a gravity unlike any before. It is not the weight of sorrow, nor the intensity of warfare, nor the hush of revelation. It is the deep and unmistakable weight of completion. The kind of completion that settles into the soul, not like an ending, but like a promise fulfilled, a holy exhale after a lifetime of endurance. Because now the angel brings you to the moment heaven has been preparing you for since the beginning, the release of your reward. Chosen one. The room around you is vast, glowing with a softness you cannot describe. The light here is warm, almost tender, as though heaven itself is leaning close, ready to place into your hands what was preserved, protected, and stored for the appointed time, not a moment earlier, not un moment later. And as the angel leads you forward, you feel it, a quiet trembling in your spirit, a recognition rising like dawn within your chest. The apostle writes in the sacred record of Hebrews, chapter 6, verse 10, Hebrews, God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him as you helped his people and continued to help them. And the angel gestures, and you watch as the room begins to rearrange itself. Blessings that once seemed distant drift toward you. Opportunities that slipped from your reach reappear. Doors that shut themselves against you swing open. Pieces of your destiny, once scattered by battle, begin to gather into wholeness again. Everything you lost, everything denied you, everything delayed, all of it reorganizes under heaven's authority. You finally understand. Your reward is not random. Your reward is not pity. Your reward is justice. Because heaven does not ignore endurance. Heaven does not overlook faithfulness. Heaven does not forget those who remain steadfast when the world collapses around them. What you survived has become the foundation of what you will now receive. The angel shows you something deeper. Your reward is not only external, it is internal. Your spirit has grown stronger, your discernment sharper, your heart purer, your identity clearer. Heaven does not hand crowns to the unprepared. Heaven strengthens the soul before placing anything of weight in the hands of a chosen one. And now you see the fullness of the reward. Not just blessings, not just breakthroughs, not just restoration, but becoming who you were always meant to be. You watch as memories from your past replay in shimmering images around the room, not to haunt you, but to reveal the pattern. Times when you stayed kind instead of hardening. Times when you forgave instead of retaliating. Times when you chose patience instead of bitterness. Times when you continued to love, even when love was not returned. You see now how heaven gathered these moments like seeds, seeds that are finally ready to bloom. Chosen one. Your reward is as layered as your journey. There are recompenses for wounds you never spoke of. There are blessings for battles you fought alone. There are opportunities tied to the growth you gained in hidden places. There is honor attached to the humility you carried quietly. And heaven begins to release them, not all at once, but in waves. Each one arriving with perfect timing. Each one tailored to the shape of your story. You feel the angel move closer. The presence is overwhelming now, but not frightening. It feels like the embrace of a truth larger than your understanding. A truth finally landing after years of hovering just beyond reach. The angel does not speak, but you feel the message settle into your spirit like a divine seal. What was withheld is being released. What was delayed is being accelerated. What was broken is being restored. What was promised is being fulfilled. And then the release begins. You sense it before you see it, like wind rising from within the core of the chamber, moving toward you in waves. Not violent, not forceful, but steady, purposeful, arriving with the precision of heaven's timing. It flows into you, peace where there was exhaustion, joy where there was numbness, clarity where there was confusion, boldness where there was hesitation, stability where there was wobbling. These internal rewards settle into your being like anchors of destiny. Then the external blessings come: ideas, opportunities, alignments, provisions, connections, doors, favor, each moving toward you with the certainty of things finally released from heavenly storage. Chosen one. Your spirit recognizes it now. This is not the end of your journey. This is the beginning of the chapter you survived for. And as the chamber brightens, the angel's presence communicates one final truth, one that wraps around your heart like a mantle of peace. You are stepping into what heaven has kept with your name on it from the beginning. Your reward has been released. Your season has opened. And heaven is with you as you step forward. Chosen one, take a breath. Let everything you've just walked through settle into your spirit like a fresh anointing poured over your life. You have journeyed through revelation, healing, confrontation, awakening, and glory. You have stood before angels, witnessed what heaven preserved for you, and stepped into the fullness of the calling written over your name since before time began. And now, as this message comes to a close, heaven invites you not to leave, but to continue, because this isn't the end of your transformation. This is the beginning of your rise. If this journey spoke to you, if something inside you ignited, if your spirit felt seen, understood, strengthened, or awakened, then don't let this moment fade into silence. A simple like is more than a gesture. It becomes a spark that helps this light reach someone else who is still walking through their night. A share is more than a button. It becomes a bridge, connecting this message to a soul who may be crying for clarity right now. A comment is more than engagement. It is your declaration of alignment, your way of telling heaven, I am here, I am listening, I am ready. End. And when you subscribe, you choose to stay connected to the stream that has been feeding your spirit, so you never miss the guidance, the revelation, and the divine reminders that heaven sends your way. Chosen one, you were led here for a reason. Let this not be your last step. Let it be your next one. Your journey continues. Your light rises, and heaven is still speaking.